Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tech Motoring. On today's episode, I'm going to be bringing in my Mustang Mach-E for its 10,000 mile service at the local Ford dealership. So in this episode, we're going to bring it in. We're going to take a look at what they do during that 10,000 mile service, or at least I'm going to show you the list of things they say they're going to do. And we're also going to see how much it costs for that 10,000 mile service. And we'll see if it's really worth it to bring in your Mach-E for its 10,000 mile service. It is an EV, so does it really make sense to bring it in? We'll talk about that in just a second. Hit the subscribe button, stay tuned. All right, welcome back, everybody. So, like I was saying, we're going to be bringing in the Ford Mustang Mach-E for its 10,000 mile service. So I got a notification on my phone a few weeks ago saying, hey, your car is almost due for its 10,000 mile service. Bring it in and we'll do all this list of things in it. And so I went ahead and I scheduled the appointment, which was like 3 weeks away, I think it was. It was like the earliest I could find. And it's not like it's a weekend or anything, like it's a Friday morning, so I'm actually bringing it in during the week. And so I'm going to be bringing it in. We're going to be seeing what they do, and we're going to see how much it costs for that service. So as you can see, there's a Ford Mustang Mach-E missing from the background, and that's because the car is currently at my wife's work. So I have to, we're going to take the Tesla over, grab her car, bring it over to the dealership, get the service done, and then we'll be bringing it back to drop it off. And then we're going to go over the list of everything that they did, and we'll see how much each of those items cost, or at least what the total cost is. So let's go over the list of items that it shows on the phone, on the little notification that you get on the phone, and then we'll just see, if any of those things really seem to be necessary at 10,000 miles, especially on an EV, and we'll go from there. All right, so here in the Ford Pass app, this is where you get your notification that says, hey, bring your car in for its service. So here we have the 10,000 mile service, and it says, here's what happens at your 10,000 miles checkup. Inspect brake pads, shoes, rotors, drums, brake linings, hoses, and parking brake. Not a bad thing to have done, especially with an EV, because you don't use your brakes very often. It's always good to actually hit your brakes so you can clean off the rotors a little bit better, because sometimes you get rust built up on the rotors, and if that rust just kind of eats away closer and closer to the center of the rotor, sometimes it's hard to get that rust off of your rotor. So it's always good to hit your rotor, hit your brakes every once in a while, clean off those brake pads, clean off those rotors. And if you don't do it very often, then you may have an issue where you need to replace your pads in your rotors early, because they're just rusty and they don't work as well when you do need them, especially if you need the panic stop. Inspect engine cooling system, motor electronics cooling system, strength, and hoses. So obviously, even though it's an EV, it still has a cooling system for the battery and other components. They just want to check all the hoses and make sure everything is good. Inspect the half shaft boots. Inspect steering linkage, ball joints, suspension, tie rod end, drive shaft and U-joints, lubricate if equipped with grease fittings. This is probably a little bit overkill in my opinion. 10,000 miles, really none of this stuff should be really, needing a grease lubrication by any means. But hey, it's all part of the service, so why not just get it done? Inspect the wheels and related components for abnormal noise, wear, looseness, or drag, which is, I guess, I suppose they're just going to check, make sure nothing is loose on the bottom of the vehicle, and make sure that the wheels look good and everything like that. Inspect tires and check tire pressures. Sure, that's fine. Perform multi-point inspection. That's just generic for we're going to check a bunch of things on a list. And then rotate the tires, inspect tire wear, and measure tread depth. So 10,000 miles, these tires are not even close to being done, but the rotating the tires is the important thing. So we want to make sure that in order to keep the longevity of those tires, we want to make sure we rotate them. And I usually rotate them myself, but I figured since they're going to do it during this inspection, I wasn't going to touch it. I'll just let them take care of that, especially since if I rotated them 1,000 miles ago and then all of a sudden they rotate them back again, it defies the point of having the tires rotated by them. Now, I'm also bringing the car in for a couple other things. I was getting a 12-volt battery warning on the dashboard, mainly during the cold parts of the year, and I think that's just because the 12-volt battery drained a little bit like overnight, and then it just triggered the light to show up and say, hey, your 12-volt battery needs service. Probably nothing to worry about. It hasn't happened in the last probably month or so, maybe the last 3-4 weeks. So I don't really think it's an issue. But I did put it on the description of why I'm bringing the car in. So we'll see how that looks as well, because that might be something that they want to just run a quick diagnostic on. And then I do have one other thing, a little trim piece under the hood that is not seated all the way. It's something I noticed shortly after I bought the car. Just never decided to bring the car in for something so simple, but maybe I get them to fix that today as well. But anyway, we'll get the car in. We got to drive just down the street, actually pick up the car, and then we'll get to the dealership. We have an appointment at 9 o'clock, and it's just 8:15 now. So join me on the road as we go and pick up the Mach-E and then get to the dealership. So literally just picked up the Mach-E, and as soon as I got in and started up, it said 12-volt battery fault, service soon. Right as soon as I got in the car. So I don't know how long that's been popping up. I didn't ask my wife if it's been popping up lately. But as you can see, we just got over 10,000 miles in the car now. So we're going to go ahead and bring this into the dealership to get service today. And I'm going to let them know about that 12-volt battery light popping up again. It might be just because of the short trips from home to here that she takes every day, that maybe it's just not enough to charge up the 12-volt battery properly, but I will mention that to them again and see what we can do. In the meantime, it's 8:24, so we got about 30 minutes to get there for our appointment, and we're only about 6 or 7 miles away, so just a hop, skip, and a jump, and we'll be there for the service. So one of the other things I wanted to check real quick is right here, this trim piece. You can see where it's not quite pushed down all the way. I want to see if I can get them to seat that properly. They might even have to replace that piece just because it looks like the little nubby might be kind of smushed or broken or something. So we got to go get that one checked out. I'm going to tell them about that when I drop it off. And another thing I wanted to check real quick is the rotors. Rotors look pretty clean. They probably could use a good couple hits on the brakes though, just to make sure that they're a little smoother. But I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple of those hard brake hits in the parking lot here, so this way we get them cleaned off. Anyway, let's head to the dealership. All right, made it to the dealer, so let's get inside, get checked in, and we'll see how long this appointment takes for this inspection and see what the results are. All right, well, just got the car back to my wife's work, dropping it off, getting back into the Tesla and going home. Funny story, so I go to drop the car off and the service advisor prints out the paperwork for the thing, and he says, so your 12-volt battery's having weird issues? And I said, yeah. I said, I got a warning even this morning that says 12-volt battery needs service, blah, blah, blah. He goes, okay. And he goes, is this a hybrid? And I go, no, it's a Mach-E. It's an electric car. He goes, oh, they got you down for an oil change. And so what I did to make this appointment is I went through the app. So I went through the Ford Pass app, hit schedule service, and then just went step by step. So it knows what car I have, it knows what car I'm dropping off, and yet it automatically put me in for an oil change. So he had to make the order up again and everything like that. But then I also got the plastic trim piece underneath the trunk or the frunk that they had the special order. So that's going to be ordered. They're going to have to do that at a later date. But yeah, so overall, process is pretty good. I'm going to head home right now, and then we'll go over the bill and see how everything turns out and how much did it cost me for this service. We'll check. So stay tuned. All right, so got back from the dealership, and as we could see here, the total for the service was $59.24 for total service. You can see that they added some, shop supplies in there for a couple things, but that was the total for the service. And then let's look at the other page. So you can see here where it says customer states occasionally receiving message about 12-volt battery fault, service soon. They said they couldn't find anything. There was no code stored. They couldn't duplicate it. So that just, unfortunately, nothing there. That was covered under a warranty, so $0 there. Complimentary multi-point inspection, inspected vehicle, attached multi-point inspection, perform multi-point maintenance inspection, advise customer of the findings. They just basically said that they, checked all the fittings and, whatever the case may be, the typical stuff. Didn't charge me anything for that. And then perform 10,000 miles service, rotated tires, inspect vehicle, shaft, boots, fitting, grease, blah, 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 blah. That was $49.99. And then, of course, the little trim piece that I mentioned before, they're going to cover that under warranty. So that should be taken care of under warranty. I just got to bring the car back once that piece comes in. All right, so overall, really not too bad. So you bring the car in at 10,000 miles. They do this service, basically rotating the tires, which you definitely need to do. And they do the multi-point inspection. They check a bunch of things. Of course, I had them check out the other couple things at the same time. Weirdly enough, when I was leaving and he handed me the paperwork, he said they had to order that trim piece for underneath the front there. He said something like, don't try not to explore too much or something like that. It was really weird. I guess he was basically stating that I shouldn't be taking pieces off the car, which I didn't. I actually didn't do that. It was actually from the day I bought it. That was the way it was. But whatever. They said they're going to replace it under warranty one time. Okay. But yeah, so anyway, that's all done. They'll get that all finished once that part comes in. But $59 for them to do a rotation of the tires, inspect, multi-point inspection, whatever they want to call it, check all the stuff. That's not too bad, actually. Now, of course, this is my dealership. Your dealership might be a little different, but this is at least what to expect with the 10,000 mile service for the Mustang Mach-E. And, just make sure they don't get you on an oil change, too, because they're going to charge you $50 for that oil change. I couldn't believe that. But anyway, I hope this video helped you out. If it did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up below. At least now you know what to expect if you're a new Mustang Mach-E owner at the 10,000 service when you get that message in your Ford Pass app that you may have to look into bringing it in for a service. And, $60 to get your tires rotated, honestly, it's worth it right there. If you don't do your own tire rotations or you don't have the proper equipment to do your own tire rotations, $60 to have somebody else do it, especially the dealership, that's fine. Maybe you can find a place to do it cheaper, but to have the dealership do it under, their care, it doesn't hurt the warranty because it's, their product. I think that's a good deal. You pay a little bit extra for that guarantee that it's being done by them. And this is the dealership that I bought the car from. So, and I also got to drive the F-150 Lightning. They had an F-150 Lightning on the lot. That was really cool. So I got to drive that for a little bit as well. But all right, well, good morning. So this is kind of the last bit of this episode because I'm now bringing the car back in to have that replacement piece fixed underneath the hood there. So just so you know the timeline right now, I brought the car in on February 10th. Today is March 23rd. So yeah, so I had to wait over a month for them to get to get a part in, and then schedule the service appointment for me to come in and get the car replaced. Now, theoretically, this should be like a 5-minute snap, 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 and pop, 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 and this should be back on the car, no problem. However, you know how these dealers are. Sometimes it could probably be more than an hour or something for this to be done. But anyway, so I just picked up the car again. We're heading down to the dealership. We have an appointment at 8:30. It's almost 10 after. So we got to get down there, get the car dropped off, and then we'll just hit the stopwatch, see how long this takes. And then we'll review the whole experience at the end of this video. So make sure you stay tuned to that. Okay, so slight update. I'm not sitting in the Mach-E right now because after I dropped it off, it turns out that they ordered not only that little plastic trim piece across the top, but the entire front trunk tub, the entire plastic tub. I don't know why they're doing all that. But anyway, they're like, oh, we might have to keep the car till tomorrow now, so I've opened up a can of worms with this. I should have just never even bothered. Well, anyway, so now we're waiting, and maybe we'll hear something back later today, or maybe it'll be tomorrow. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But now my wife doesn't have a car at her job, so I need to figure that out as well.
And yeah, so now we wait.
All right, well, just got the phone call from the dealership that the car is actually ready. It's about 2:30, so not too bad. They didn't take them all day and didn't have to go into tomorrow, so that's better. So now we're just kind of waiting for them to come pick me up. Actually, they do have this nice shuttle service where they'll actually, you know, take you from the dealership, put you wherever you need to go, and then they'll come back and pick you up later on. It's kind of a nice service that they do for you know, their clients there. So so they're coming actually right now to pick me up here at my house, and then we'll be getting back to the dealership. Car should be good. I'm gonna make sure I take a look at it because I had all my stuff in my frunk there, so make sure they kept all that stuff in there, and then we'll see how everything looks. All for this one little stupid piece. Anyway, let's get down to the dealership and take a look. All right, just got home with the car. So really the only thing, if you remember, was that this was lifted up just a hair right here. That has now been resolved, but I guess they had to replace this entire trunk here, this entire frunk area. Looks like they did a pretty good job of scratching it all up, but yeah, really, I mean, it just seems crazy for this little trim piece. They had to replace everything around it. I mean, it just seems so unnecessary, but, well, you know, it is what it is, I guess. Nothing I could do about it. But, yeah, it looks like it is all good now.
All right, well, there you go. There's my 10,000-mile service on the Mustang Mach-E, and that warranty replacement part took well over a month from the time that I scheduled the appointment to the time that I got everything completed. But overall, I gotta say, the process wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. It was your typical car dealership, legacy automaker dealership experience that you get with any car. You bring it in, blah, 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 fill out some paperwork, what's your problem, you know, kind of situation. Nothing really spectacular. They really need to adapt other ways that are more convenient for people. It was convenient that they had the shuttle that could take me to and from wherever I needed to go. That was at least kind of nice. But other than that, I mean, you know, I still had to wait a really long time for the service to be done. You know, parts had to be ordered, parts had to come in. You know, is what it is. Well, anyway, I hope that your 10,000-mile service is better than mine. And describe your service at your local Ford dealership down in the comments. And let me know what yours is like. Was yours a nightmare, or was yours, like, perfect? And was it better than you expected? And did they treat you any differently being an EV owner versus just, you know, having a normal gas car? Which really they shouldn't. So that really shouldn't make any difference. But I'm also curious about that as well. Was the knowledge of you having an EV any different than just a standard gas car owner? But anyway, thanks very much for watching this episode. If you liked it and it helped you out, hit the thumbs up just below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're a Mustang Mach-E owner or enthusiast. Check us out on all our social medias. You can follow us on them. They're all down in the description below the video. I'd like to thank you very much again for watching. And remember, welcome to the future and welcome to Tech Motoring. And we'll see you on the next episode.